Walter, the squirrely cashier, spanks a grown man in a dress. This is not the legend of Saturday night. This is Tuesday morning, 11:40 a.m. I find myself thinking of the theme song from Different Strokes as I visualize every letter of every word while some inner voice sings along as if it's karaoke. Katrina snaps her fingers and takes back her whip. She looks over me and thrusts its handle in my direction. "Hit him," she says. I try not to laugh in her face and offer up a little excuse. "No thanks, I've got a little lunch in a few minutes." She looks at her slave on his hands and knees on the carpeted floor of the Mitchell Brothers lobby and lashes him across the back and ass as if to make a point. Then she stares at Walter and I, like we're next. "Well," she says, "go ahead, laugh." Then she lashes him again, hard. The slave whimpers a little, this time. "Go ahead, laugh," she repeats. "Laugh at him. He likes it when you laugh." The words fall from her cruel mouth. It's hard not to think of her as an insane person when she's like this. We stand with the stone faces like the statues on Easter Island. I notice a damp area where the slave's sweat has made his dress an even darker shade of purple. Then I wonder how much money he's paying her for this shit anyway. Essentially, if we laugh, we would be participating in this guy's humiliation fantasy. And this is something I'm just not willing to do. For free. $10 an hour isn't enough to make me want to get involved in this kind of debauchery. If the guy threw $100, well, I'd laugh all they wanted. The idea makes me feel a little dirty. Luckily, it didn't last very long. As if it were some divine intervention, the business telephone rang. Walter and I both went for it with great enthusiasm, as if answering the phone would transport us out of this terrible situation for just a second. Even if it was a wrong number or a telemarketer, we could put some sort of distance between our world and theirs. Sometimes 2 foot Formica counter just isn't enough. Ask any bartender. As for my own personal boundaries, if I can just stay at least 10 feet away from a person spurting or ejaculating bodily fluids, that's enough for me. Walter beat me to answering the phone. I just stood there awkwardly trying to ignore the heightened level of weirdoism. Luckily, by this point, Katrina had grown bored with us. She was yanking the choke collar, leading her slave on his hands and knees, marching back over the semen-encrusted jungle green carpet. Soon, off in the darkness, we could hear her spanking the slave way down that hallway, the crack of the whip, the whimper of the man in red lipstick and high heels. Finally, it felt okay to laugh, but not the slave. "You idiot," I said. "Do your mommy and daddy know what you do for a living?" Walter looked like he had just found out that his girlfriend was actually a man. "Oh, Christ," he groaned. "Do you feel dirty?" I asked. He went silent. "Well, you ought to. You just helped that poor, rich, miserable fool get off. For free." I felt kind of sick, he whispered. "Walter, you are sick. Is this how you thought your life would turn out? Spanking tricks in the lobby of a goddamn whorehouse in San Francisco for free?" He was slumping in his chair. Any aura of machismo he'd once held had long since left him. "I wish I'd thought about that before I did it," he whispered. Then he was silent. He was a decent worker and all that, but he was very young and full of the idealism that 10+ years in this business had robbed me of. He was just doing what I always did, doing things for the fact of doing them, living, experiencing things for good or ill. However, in this case, it was ill. Hopefully he had learned something of value and at not too great a personal or mental price. "Ah, hell, Walter," I said. "Don't feel too bad." I lied to him to make him feel a little better. "We've all spanked that guy." He could see I was trying to make him cheer up. I could see it wasn't working. "Fuck it," I said. "It's almost noon. Want to get some Chinese for lunch?" He didn't respond. He seemed lost in his own little world of self-doubt and pity. I decided to go it alone for my break. I got my coat and went for the front doors in the world that lay just beyond the lobby, the Tenderloin. I giggled and spoke to no one. There's nothing tender about it. It was the 21st day of September, my anniversary of working at the theater. All I could think about was that I had spent another 365 days in a whorehouse. I had the general's chicken and some fried rice while I watched the news of the war in Iraq from giant television screens and pondered the day-to-day life of the enlisted professional soldier. This made the horror show of my work somehow less terrifying. Thanks.